You've done this before. You've gotten jobs before. Good ones. Maybe you've been promoted. Maybe people have recruited you. Maybe you've never really had to think that hard about the process because it just worked. And now you're sitting here months into a job search, doing everything you're supposed to do, and nothing is happening. And it feels crazy. It feels personal. It feels like something is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. Something changed. And today, I'm going to show you exactly what. I'm Mary Southern, founder of Resume Assassin. Over the last decade, I've helped over 4,000 people land jobs at companies like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Netflix, and so many more. And right now, in this market, I'm hearing the same thing from almost every single person. I've never had to do this before. I don't even know where to start. And I feel completely lost. Nobody explained to you that the game has changed. And today, that's what I'm doing. The advice that you've been getting probably isn't wrong. It's just incomplete. Apply more, network, update your resume. Sure, do that. But that's like telling someone their car won't start and saying, have you tried turning the key? Like, yes, technically correct, but wildly unhelpful. What you actually need to understand is what's happening underneath the hood. Because once you see it, really see it, the whole thing starts to make sense. And once it makes sense, you can actually do something about it. So here's what we're covering today. We're going to talk about why the market feels so broken, even though it doesn't look broken on paper. Why some of the jobs that you're applying to might not even be real opportunities. Why you're disappearing before anyone even looks at your resume. And why you look identical to every single candidate out there, even if you have tons more experience and qualifications, and what to actually do about your LinkedIn profile right now. Let's go. Let's start with the stat that everyone just throws around. Unemployment is sitting at roughly 4.3%. Jobs are being added every single month. The economy is technically fine, and yet you can't get an interview. Your friends can't get interviews. People who are objectively great at what they're doing are sitting on applications for months. How is that even possible? Here's what that headline number doesn't tell you. The job market right now is what I'd call low hire, low fire. Companies aren't laying off in huge waves anymore, but they're also barely hiring. They got spooked. Between the over-hiring frenzy and the mass layoffs, a lot of companies decided, we're never doing that again. So now they're being cautious, selective. They're making every single open role work harder before they go find someone to fill it. And there's another piece of this that nobody talks about. People aren't quitting like they used to either. During the Great Resignation, turnover was wild, which meant backfills were constant. There were always openings because people were always leaving. This is basically turned off. People who have jobs are holding on to them, which means fewer seats are opening up. So you've got fewer new roles being created, fewer existing roles turning over, and a massive pool of really experienced candidates, including people who got laid off from some big names, all competing for whatever does come open. That's the real picture. The job market isn't broken, it's misleading. It looks healthy, it feels impossible. And both of those things can be true at the same time. That tension is real. You're not imagining it. You're not being dramatic. The math is genuinely hard right now. But here's why this is actually really useful information. When you understand that the pool is deep and the seats are limited, you stop trying to out-apply everyone else and you start thinking about how to stand out instead, which is a completely different strategy and a much better one. Okay, this one's gonna sting a little bit, but I'd rather you hear it from me than spend another 3 months confused. A lot of the jobs being posted right now, they exist, but not necessarily in the form you're applying for them. Here's what's happening. Companies are doing 3 things that are quietly changing what hiring actually looks like. First, they're shifting to contract and freelance instead of full-time. The role is real. The work needs to get done. But instead of bringing on a salaried employee with benefits and job security, they're posting it as a contractor gig. 6 months, maybe a year. And if you're only filtering for full-time permanent positions, You're never even going to see it. Second, they're hiring overseas. Not every company, not every role, but it's happening more than the LinkedIn feed lets on. Certain functions, especially in tech and operations, are being quietly shifted to global talent pools where the cost is much lower. That's not a moral judgment, it's just a market reality. And if you're in one of those functions, you need to know you're not just competing with the person in your city, you're competing globally now. Third, and this is the one that really gets people, companies are consolidating roles. What used to be 2 or 3 jobs is now being posted as one job listing, but the description reads like they want a unicorn. Marketing manager who can also do data analysis and manage the website and run paid ads and basically just be a one-person department. That's not a job description. That's 3 jobs with 1 salary. So what do you do with this? First, expand how you're searching. If you've exclusively been looking for full-time permanent roles, try opening the filter to contract. A lot of contract roles do convert to full-time. It's also a foot in the door and a paycheck while you keep looking. Second, when you see a job description that looks like they want everything, don't let it paralyze you. Figure out what the actual core of the role is. What's the most important 60%? And make sure that your materials speak directly to that. You don't have to be everything on the list. You have to be clearly excellent at most of the things. And third, if the role feels like it was designed to be impossible to fill perfectly, it probably was. Sometimes companies post roles as exploratory. They want to see what's out there. They might not even hire, or they'll reconfigure the role based on who they meet, which means your job is to be interesting enough to start a conversation, not to perfectly match every single bullet point. Posting is not an offer, it's an opening bid. One of the most demoralizing parts of the job search right now is the silence. You apply and then nothing. Not a rejection, not a we'll be in touch, just a void. And most people interpret that silence as being ignored. Like their application went into a black hole and no one even looked at it. Here's the truth. Someone or something looked very quickly and made a decision. Let me walk you through what actually happens after you hit submit. Before a human being ever sees your resume, it goes through an applicant tracking system, the ATS. That system is parsing your resume, pulling out information, and scoring you against the job description. Not based on how good you are, based on how well your language matches theirs. Specific terms, specific phrases, years of experience in specific areas. If your resume is missing the exact language they used in the posting, your score drops. Low score, buried in the pile. This is why you can be completely qualified but still disappear. It's not that you're not right for the job, it's that your resume isn't speaking the same language as their filter. It's like showing up in a Spanish-speaking interview and speaking French. You might be saying all of the right things, nobody's translating. But here's the part that even fewer people know. Even if you make it past the ATS, you're then hitting a human screener. And that person is moving fast. We're talking a first pass in under 10 seconds per resume. They're not reading, they're scanning. Company names, titles, a number or two. Does anything jump out? So think about your resume for a second. In 10 seconds of scanning, not reading, but scanning, is it obvious who you are and why you're relevant? Or does it take work to figure it out? Because if it takes work, they move on. Here's what to do. Pull up the job description for a role that you actually want. Look at the language that they use, the specific skills, the specific tools, the specific way they describe the work. Now look at your resume. Does it reflect that language? Not copy it word for word, but mirror it. If they say stakeholder management and you say worked with executives, you might mean the same thing, but the system doesn't know that. And then look at your resume from the 10-second scan test. Cover the bullet points. Just look at your titles, your companies, your dates. Does a stranger immediately understand your career trajectory and your level? That's the bar. If you have to explain it, rewrite it. You're not being ghosted. You're being screened out before anyone gets the chance to want you. And that's very fixable. Here's something that I really want you to sit with. The person who gets the interview isn't always the most qualified. They're the most memorable. And right now, most resumes look identical. Same format, same vague bullet points, same buzzwords that sound impressive, but they mean nothing. Think about it from the recruiter's side. They're looking at 200 plus applications for one role. After the first 30 resumes, everything starts to look, sound, and feel the same. And the ones that stick, the ones that get the call, are the ones where something was clear, specific, and different. Here's the mistake that almost everyone makes. They write their resume like it's a job description of what they did. List of responsibilities, managed social media, supported the sales team, responsible for project coordination. That's not a resume. That's a list of tasks, and it does not answer the one question that every hiring manager is looking for. What happened because you were there? Say that again to yourself. What happened because you were there? Did revenue go up? Did the process get faster? Did the team stop hemorrhaging clients? Did the product launch actually launch instead of sitting in development purgatory for another year? What changed because of you specifically? That's what makes you memorable, not the list of things that you were assigned to do. The outcomes because you happen to do them very well. And if you're sitting there thinking, my job doesn't really have measurable outcomes, I hear that a lot, and I push back on it every single time. Because almost every role has something that absolutely can be quantified, even if it's not revenue. The size of the team you supported, the number of projects that you managed simultaneously, the timeline you cut, the budget you managed, the process you built from scratch. Something. If your resume currently says managed team, how big? If it says grew the account, from what to what? The details are what make you real. Generic is forgettable. Specific is compelling. The other piece of this is voice. And this is subtle, but it truly matters. There's a way to write a resume as a human being who's truly proud of what they did versus someone who writes a document that feels like it was just filled out by a committee. Don't be afraid to sound like yourself. Confident, direct, clear. The best resumes that I've read do not read like legal disclaimers. They read like someone who knows exactly what they bring to the table, and they're not apologizing for it. You are not like everyone else. Your resume should prove it. All right, LinkedIn. I want to talk about one thing that people set up wrong from the very beginning. They never fix it, and it quietly tanks their visibility the entire time. Your headline, not your job title, your headline. These are not the same thing, but most people treat them like they are. They put their current job title, their company, maybe an emoji if they're feeling fancy, and then they move on. And in doing so, they have just given up the most powerful piece of real estate on their LinkedIn profile. Here's why this matters. Your headline is what shows up when a recruiter conducts a search on LinkedIn. It's what shows up when you comment on someone else's post. It's what a hiring manager sees before they even click on your profile. It's your first impression in almost every context. And if it just says marketing manager at Acme, you are invisible. You look like 40,000 other marketing managers. Your headline should do 3 things. Say what you do, say who you do it for and in what context, and give a signal of the value that you bring. Marketing manager tells me your title. B2B marketing manager, demand generation and pipeline growth, SaaS, tells me your title, your lane, and your specialty. Those are 2 completely different searchability profiles. Take 10 minutes after this video and rewrite your headline. It's one of the highest leverage things you can do today. Now, the thing that most people don't realize about LinkedIn in 2026, it's definitely not just a job board, but we all know that. Recruiters are actively searching it like it's a talent database every single day for roles that haven't even been posted yet. Roles that are being created right now, backfills that just got approved this morning. And whether you show up in those searches or not almost completely comes down to whether your LinkedIn profile is optimized. This means your profile needs to be working for you even when you're not on the platform. It needs to be findable. And to be findable, it needs to have the right words in the right places. Your about section, your headline, your job descriptions, they're all indexed, which means the words you choose matter, not just for human readers, but for search. Look at job descriptions for the roles you want. What words come up over and over? Those words need to be in your profile. Naturally, not just stuffed somewhere in a keyword farm, but present. One more thing on LinkedIn that I think is genuinely underused right now, being visibly active. Not necessarily posting every day, not becoming an influencer, just present. Leaving a thoughtful comment on something in your industry once a week. Share something that reflects your expertise once a month. The goal isn't followers. The goal is that when a recruiter lands on your profile and sees that you're engaged and have a point of view, you feel like a real person. Recruiters notice who's active. And more importantly, people in your network notice. And people in your network are often how the best opportunities actually reach you. So fix your headline today. Audit your keywords this week and start showing up, even just a little bit, but consistently. Okay, let's wrap this up. Here's what I want you to walk away with today. This is hard right now, genuinely hard. And it's not because something is wrong with you. The market is genuinely tighter than the headlines suggest. The rules genuinely changed. And the strategies that used to work on autopilot need to be more intentional now. But intentional doesn't mean more effort. It means smarter effort. It means understanding where the actual bottlenecks are and addressing them, not just spinning faster and faster on the hamster wheel. You're not getting interviews because you look like everyone else. Fix that. Your LinkedIn profile is set up for a job market that doesn't exist anymore. Fix it. These are not vague problems. These are specific, solvable issues. And the people who are landing jobs right now, they're not luckier than you. They're not more qualified than you. They've figured out which specific things need to be changed, and they changed them. I've been doing this for over a decade. I've worked with so many people who were just completely defeated, months in, sometimes years, with no traction, ready to take just anything just to make that uncertainty stop. And I've watched those same people, once they understood what was actually going on, turn it around faster than they expected. Not because I gave them magic, because I helped them see clearly. And then they did the work. That's all this is, seeing clearly and doing the work. If you want help getting clear on specifically what's holding your job search back, whether it's your resume, your LinkedIn profile, your positioning, whatever it is, come find me at resumeassassin.com. Schedule a free 15-minute consultation today. I'd love to get to know you as a person, your background, and your career goals. I'll tell you exactly what you need to change. And if this video helped you, share it with someone who's in the middle of a job search right now. Because I promise you, they need to hear this. Subscribe if you haven't. I drop new videos every Wednesday. And comment below, what's holding you back in your job search right now? You've got this. I'll see you in the next one.